Welcome to the Center Mid Philosopher. This episode is brought to you by Augustus Royale Fashion. Life's not black and white, it's gray, and gray is beautiful. Check out the brand below in the link. All right, guys, we're back. I'm the Center Mid Philosopher. We got the Bundesliga berserkers here. And we're going to just talk about everything going on in the Bundesliga right now. So, guys, again, it's always a race to second, unfortunately, or however you want to say it. No one can really usurp Bayern Munich. Who is your favorite to, and I think I know what yours is, Caleb, but who's your favorite to win second?
Yeah, it's Red Bull Leipzig.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think they have way too much talent. I know there are younger bunch. Danny Olmo, I've already talked about him, but I'm a huge fan of his. I'm glad to see him getting a chance in Spain. I think he's hurt now, but I just think they have too much talent to not challenge. I mean, in the Super Cup, they kind of dominated Bayern there, 3-0. I think they only have one blemish, which is Leverkusen, who maybe one of you guys will speak to as well. But yeah, Red Bull Leipzig is my squad. Xavi Simons, Cisco, Danny Olmo. I love that squad, so that's who I would go with.
Yeah, I think I'm about to steal Spencer's.
Go for it. Yeah.
Leverkusen, just Xabi Alonso is crushing it. Granit Xhaka, what a beast. That was tough, I guess. Tough to lose him.
It was time though, but I'm glad for both of us. It's like a good divorce.
Yeah, Boniface, he's could finish a little bit better, but man, that guy's a hoss, and he's great. Lukaku 2.0 sort of. Florian Wirtz, tabbed as the next wonderkind of.
He can keep his knees
in Germany, and then Alex Grimaldo had that ridiculous free kick against Bayern Munich.
That was awesome.
Really good, and then Ezekiel Palacios. Great player. Again, now that I stole yours.
No. I was just going to add yours real quick, and then I'll give my answer. I think if we wonder why Bayern looks so loose in the back, it's because of Stanisic, who's now on Leverkusen. He's a loanee from Bayern. He's a Croatian guy. He's awesome, and he's going to be able to lock down that back. And plus, you forgot to mention Xabi Alonso. Come on now.
Oh, yeah.
But other than that, so I'm going to go homer pick. Dortmund's going to do it.
Nice.
Right. They're going to do it by firing their coach before Thanksgiving. He's done. Terzic is done. They can't do it with the Terzic. For those of you who don't know, is the head coach of Dortmund, and he was a lifelong fan. So it would be like if you are a big fan of the New York Giants and you grow up to be their head coach. So it was cool for a while, but it's pretty clear he doesn't know what he's doing. But I think Dortmund will rebound from choking away the title last year, and I think they will ultimately finish second. It's a long season. The Bundesliga, as you know, is all over the place. It's like so scatterbrained. The results are nuts. People can go on like 10-game runs. Much more fun to watch if you've got a team that finishes like 2nd through 10th versus just being a Bayern fan. I think that's probably boring. So I'm going to go Dortmund. They're going to rebound mentally and fire Terzic.
Let me ask you a question about Dortmund. Is Reina going to ever get the start?
He will, but not under this coach who just doesn't. Terzic has his players, and Reina has proven to Terzic that he's a good super sub. Like he'll come in and score that goal, but as a starting position, no, it's not locked. It's not locked for him yet. No, I think they need to. Not under this regime.
Yeah, interesting. Zach, who you got?
I have Red Bull. Caleb pretty much touched upon it. I think Danny Olmo, like he's going to get a big move somewhere. I would imagine. Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
He's already been rumored.
I'm surprised it already hasn't happened already. But yeah, y'all covered it pretty well. That's probably my pick.
Yeah.
Nice.
You guys both picked a fake team, like a corporate logo.
Well,
I was going to say a lot of people are not
logo.
fans.
Ralph Rangnick's corporate logo
Didn't exist before 2009.
I'm glad you brought that up. So that was interesting about kind of one of my storylines or themes, or one of the things that's interesting about the Bundesliga is the 50+1 rule, where the club supporters must own 50% plus one share of all clubs, except there's a couple clubs that have been given carte blanche to do whatever. Red Bull Leipzig, and then is it Wolfs? No. It's who owns? Is it Wolfsburg? Who owns Volkswagen?
Wolfsburg. Yeah, it's Wolfsburg.
Yeah, and so it's like super fiercely, like, so Union Berlin, when they played Red Bull Leipzig, their protest was of 15 minutes of silence at the beginning of the game. Why 15 minutes, I don't know, but it was completely eerily silent for 15 minutes, and then they erupted into cheer to protest their corporate structure. And it's hotly contested because, like, why do people care?
Yeah.
Well, because the pros and cons of, like, the good thing about the 50-plus run rule is these clubs haven't become sovereign wealth fund, state-run organizations like in the EPL, but some of them have become bureaucratic nightmares where it's like it can be almost impossible and super political. It sort of sounds like the United States government to get anything done. And the Red Bull Leipzigs of the world are able to be a lot more nimble, quick, get things done, make really quick changes,
right.
And is probably we're seeing the results of that.
Right.
They're playing well, so that's kind of. Thank you for.
Well, it's 15 minutes in protest as the reverse of 51, which is the percent ownership. But you don't want to wait 51 minutes because then you miss most of the game. These people are paying for tickets.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you. I love it. Love it. So any storylines you're following, Caleb?
Harry Kane's kind of a fascinating one. One, is he going to learn German? We'll find out.
No way. Did you see him eating the sausage with Mueller? He looks so
he's another one that just looks so out of place, though.
It's
him
so
with a
weird.
Bayern jersey on.
So weird.
But he is kind of what they've needed in the last few years is somebody to just put away goals.
He's balling.
And that's what he does.
What's so funny though, he was trying to do in some of the games I've watched at Bayern. He's trying to do the role that he did at Tottenham. Like, let me track back.
Right.
Let me hold up. Let me pass. Everyone's just like, we have better players. You can just go score now. Like, just get up there.
Yeah,
it's kind of
that's exactly right.
Yeah.
Right. What about you, Spencer?
Who am I? What's the question?
Like kind of storylines you're following in the Bundesliga.
Oh, well, the storyline I would be following is, can Union Berlin make it back to the top four, make the Champions League again? I love this story. I think it's great.
Too.
They're like some of the good guys, and
Yeah.
I would just love to see that again, especially in the face of all this corporate nonsense that we're talking about.
Yeah.
Big football. These guys almost bankrupt a while back, and now they're back. It's cool to see.
Well, and they were almost ceased to exist
That's right.
some years ago.
That's right.
Like they were like on the absolute brink of non-existence. So they're fun. And plus it's cool. We got some Americans on there, and it's really cool. Their jerseys are sick. They play in this like super intimate hipster stadium.
But will Chiellini join Bonucci? Let's go. Let's get him
let's
there.
do it.
Come
Let's
on.
do it. That'd be awesome.
Get a statue outside their stadium with the two of them.
Yeah,
Amazing.
no, let's do it.
go.
How about you, Zach?
So Union Berlin was almost my pick to like make a run. I just maybe a year away. I don't know. So I'm gonna take the liberty and kind of go off on a little tangent here. So I think you could ask every Chelsea fan and probably even their ownership. They probably made the wrong call firing Tuchel. Right? Like I think if we could rewind time, they would just give him that leash. Let him get his players, keep it on. I read an article. I really should give the author credit. I don't remember it. But what he is doing at Bayern, I think you touched upon a little bit, Spence, is like Harry Kane is so used to kind of dropping in the midfield. So what he's doing is taking his two, let's call them number 9s for the sake of it, dropping him in the midfield and letting his wing players go really, really high and stay really, really like high and wide. And it's more or less exactly what De Zerbi is doing with Brighton. So I just think it's cool to see like coaches like barring, everyone like I'm just. What did he say? I'm just copying Pep, mate. Right? Like it's cool to like just see like different coaches like pull little parts and like stay fresh, stay current, kind of mix it up.
For now, but I feel like Tuchel's not going to have a job like in the next couple of months. He's too like caustic with the leadership there. Bayern's leadership's all weird and like crusty.
He's a prickly figure himself. Like everywhere he goes, there's like PSG. Like there's a little bit of tension everywhere. Trying to explain to non-soccer watchers like the leash that some of these coaches have. I mean, it's
like Belichick with the leash.
Yeah, it's like that's a great point. So the storyline is just it's kind of a chaotic league, And it's just who's going to land in second is just kind of where I'm penciled in on.
And if I could just say one more thing before we wrap, I think we'd be remiss not to mention how awesome I think Musiala is going to be this year. I think they're going to let him cook, and they better, because he's awesome. I don't care if he does a little too much with the ball. He's awesome. Let him grow. I really want to see it. And I don't like Bayern, but he's so fun to watch, and hopefully maybe Arsenal can get him.
Yeah, nice.
We won't, because he'll go over there.
We won't.
Awesome.
He won't. He'll go to City. We'll have to get like his Latin American equivalent from Brazil or something.
Yeah, that has major social.
Exactly.
Right. Awesome. Well, thanks, guys. Well, we're going to bring my old college roommate Cooper Carter in from Stuttgart here in a minute, and he's going to explain a little bit more on the 50+1 rule. So
cool.
Thanks. All right, but want to introduce my old roommate, one of my best buddies, Cooper Carter, live from Stuttgart. And we, as an honorary member of the Bundesliga Berserkers, as part of the Center Mid Philosopher show. And one of the things we were talking...
I thought you were kind of paying my part of my rent here, actually. That's kind of part of the deal.
Yes.
That's why I'm living in this place.
That's right. That's
actually a paid correspondent.
Yeah, you had to have a gold roof or a gold ceiling as part of the deal. But no, we were talking a lot about the 50+1 rule, and you and I were talking about that last time we saw each other. And I wonder if you could just educate the listeners and viewers a little bit more about what that is and all the different pros and cons, and then the outcry against it with a lot of teams, as we witnessed with Union Berlin having that 15-minute protest recently. But yeah, tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I mean, fundamentally, I think the idea is that these clubs, these football clubs, are part of wider associations of, you know, Germans. They have basically their athletics are kind of concentrated into these social clubs. So they're called Vereins. They can be about anything. They can be about bird watching. They could be about tennis. And it's an amalgamation of that. So the 50+1 rule essentially states that, you know, no kind of member of the top two leagues in the Bundesliga can be kind of owned by an individual or even a corporation. Now there is an asterisk to that, because there are exceptions, right? Like everything. So it's a bit gray, but the 50+1 basically handles the control of, you know, the club, and it has to be controlled by the members of that club. And it can't be concentrated by an individual investor. It handles a lot of kind of the voting power and the decision making, from kind of like the US model, which is a franchise model where you have one owner or a group of owners, very small circle, making key decisions. And they essentially have, you know, absolute power to make decisions, from a membership model that, you know, people are probably familiar with in Barcelona.
Yeah.
And then, you know, almost kind of like the example in the US, I think, is the Green Bay Packers. Yeah. You kind of see that structure, but instead of having this kind of anomaly, which is what the Packers are in the NFL, it's basically the rule that all the clubs are supposed to be like that. And you have the exceptions to that, which are in places like Leverkusen and in Wolfsburg, where you have basically two clubs that have been so cemented with the corporations that founded them. And a lot of the club members were workers, like whether it's at Bayer, which is a big pharmaceutical company, or at VW, which is the car manufacturer. So, you know, I think it's wonderful. I'm a big proponent of it. You know, it's kind of how I've, and you know this, I love really college athletics, because in the US, I think it's about the closest thing. You have, you know, it's different because you have these schools that people attended, but it's something that it's not as seen. There's more of a connection to the entity or the team from this personal experience or this lifelong kind of affiliation with it, and it's less, you know. And I think in the pro leagues in the U.S. you have that still, but at the end of the day, these are, private companies and franchises under the auspices of one owner. So,
well, it's kind of like the opposite.
Much of the German model, but I think it's good to compare like the comparative model. But I mean, I think the end result is you see in Germany if you look across the international soccer landscape, Germany has like the highest attendance, like the highest participation rates, basically the lowest cost of entry. So it's a really relative value. You can go to a match and not have to pay hundreds of dollars. You can buy a $5 beer. I mean, it's still kind of, it's not really about profit margin. It's about, enjoying like that club, that community, that passion. So I dig it.
Yeah. And I guess, well, for starters, it's like the complete opposite of what's going on in the EPL right now. Right. And
yeah, totally.
And then it's also it's got tons of pros. Like you can't just be completely gobbled up by a state fund of, or an oil money, sovereign wealth fund, or but also there can be cons too, right? That it can be a little bit bureaucratic. And I guess where I was going to is why some of the fans are so outspoken in protesting the likes of Red Bull Leipzig, is that those clubs can be a little bit more nimble and can act a little bit quicker, and it sort of feels like they're cheating the system. Is that sort of the sentiment?
Yeah, one interesting thing is does it lead to more competition? I mean, if you look at the dominance of Bayern Munich, the answer is no. So the 50+1 hasn't necessarily created more competition in the German league, in the Bundesliga. I mean, Bayern has dominated that over the last decade. I think they won like 11 straight.
Yep.
But and also, if you look at the high end of Champions League, there is a lack of, I think there's frustration from maybe lack of investment in getting into this competition for players, that these highly revenue backed organizations, in the UK and now France, from the sovereign wealth fund or whomever, the billionaires can kind of fund that kind of acquisition spree. But as a result, I think I've always thought this with like the Dutch league, they focus on player development, and then it kind of, I think it's really cool to see the younger kind of talent. What was really interesting about Harry Kane going to Bayern Munich is, that was kind of a unexpected type of move. And I think it was interesting. I mean, probably Bayern Munich would be the only club in Germany that can make that move, pay that kind of money. But that was kind of, again, something that you wouldn't see in a 50+1 kind of structure, to your point, that you would maybe see in like a more kind of EPL model.
So that's really interesting. I appreciate you educating on all that.
Yeah, man.
What we were just talking about this. I want to get your take. Who's your pick for number 2? It's always the race for second, right? Who's your pick coming behind Bayern?
Man, I'm a homebody right now. If Stuttgart, now the match is tied in the 25th minute, 1-1. If Stuttgart draws or scores, they go top of the league. Now it's early days, right? The traditional pick would be Dortmund, although they really had they've had a lot of summer departures over the last few seasons, and this summer was pretty brutal for them. So Leverkusen has kind of been up top with.
They look great.
With Bayern Munich. I don't want it to be Leipzig either. So
yeah,
I would say I'm going to go for Stuttgart, man. I'm going to say they're pretty hot right now. Maybe they can maintain they're definitely probably lower tier, lower rank, but they're just looking so exciting right now. It's hard to bet against them. They got a really great manager, and they're playing really exciting football.
Nice. That's awesome. What'd you think of the Champions League? Did you get any? what'd you watch? How was any what was your favorite game?
Oh man, I wish I would have watched those games. I saw the score lines, but the week was kind of crazy for me, so I wasn't able to catch them. But
yeah. Too busy solving Africa's problems, I'm sure.
Yeah, a lot of fun stuff going on in Africa this week.
Yeah, I hear you. How much have you been following? Or I know you're a Stuttgart guy now, but like the Union Berlin story is kind of a cool story to follow, right? I mean, and
definitely.
And they're kind of like viewed back to the 50+1. They're kind of almost in some ways viewed as like the absolute best of that, like a really, really small group that is like kind of the exact opposite of like a corporate structure. I just didn't know how much hype are they getting over there?
I mean, a fair amount. I mean, based off their success of the past couple of seasons, frankly, I think it's been pretty exciting to see. Again, like I'm kind of wearing my Borussia Mönchengladbach shirt. Mm-hmm. That's kind of a legacy of 20 years. Mm-hmm. So this is a split household between Borussia Mönchengladbach and Stuttgart. But you know, a club too that won last year the second league and promoted, Heidenheim. They're another club, and this is 50+1. Like as a case point, they're a club that's in Baden-Württemberg, which is a state of Stuttgart is the capital of. It's a 50,000 person town.
Wow.
And they are now in the Bundesliga. You know, in the club grounds, I think seat, you know, maybe 15,000. So this is like a really small town, kind of making it to the top. And that kind of gets, you know, your point you always talk about with promotion and relegation. Mm-hmm. When I was here last summer, Stuttgart actually was in a relegation battle, and they had to go to a playoff. And I tried to go to the match, and like it was sold out. Mm-hmm. Because of the intensity of the relegation playoff. Mm-hmm. So the third place team in the second league plays the third from bottom in the top, and they basically, the winner stays up or goes up, and the loser goes down. And I mean, that's win or go home for sure in terms of, you know, the costs and millions of euros and such. So a lot of storylines out there this year so far, but yeah, I haven't really been tracking Union Berlin other than relative to the other, you know, Hertha in Berlin, just seeing their successes, and then, you know, that protest and the contrast there and their story with, you know, what happened in East Germany. I think it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, and I mean, again, kind of in conclusion, and on this is like, if you're looking for the mom and pop shops to kind of root for as a complete dichotomy to what's going on in England right now with our favorite MBS and everybody buying up everything that can fog a mirror, look no further than Germany, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, ESPN has the, you know, Bundesliga covered too. It's really accessible to watch. I'm actually watching the Bundesliga through ESPN.
Nice.
So it's an accessible, and it's a really, I think the style of play, I think would really, an American audience would like it, just like the EPL. Mm-hmm. It's kind of a tougher league where there's not a lot of, you know, there's technical skill, but there's a lot of not a lot of shenanigans, I would say.
No shenanigans.
And yeah, and the like supporters are just unbelievable, and like the, you know, all kinds of the soundtrack to the match is insane.
Nice. Well, Coop, man, thank you so much, man. I owe you a big one. Sorry for keeping you up.
Yeah,
but
no worries.
I appreciate you dropping knowledge, and it's cool to have a person over in Germany in the flesh.
Yeah, let me know where to go, and I'll show up and do it on site and send you the bill.
Awesome. All right, man. Thank you, dude. Give my best to your lovely girls.
Will do.
All right. See you, man.
Take care.
Thanks.
Out here.
Talk to you soon.
See ya.